Thank you so much for having me. The slides that I have here to share with you are available for you as well. So if you would like to click on, or I'm sorry, if you'd rather type that link in, I'm also dropping that into the chat right now for you. That is bit.ly/mathgiftesc. No spaces, no nothing like that. Once you do so, that will take you to this set of slides where you have your own copy. And the reason why I do it that way is because I want you to be able to make these notes workable for yourself. So if you have, if you have the notes, it's much different than just kind of like looking and following along with me. I want you to be able to use that speaker notes area so that you can, take notes for yourself, or if you want to, modify or change things to share them with other people within your district or other friends out and about. I want you to be able to claim ownership over these too. So if you'd like to follow that link and make copies, then you'll have access to all the links and all the other things that I have to share for you here too. Okay. Here's just a quick overview. I know Diane said we'll be here for 45 minutes to an hour, so we're not going to keep you for the full 2 hours. But this is kind of a rundown of the things that I have for you. So first, I'm just going to give a quick overview of kind of what I do and why Diane asked me to be here. The second portion, we're going to talk about how you can crack your PDFs, and I'm going to talk about a newer tool that you may or may not have seen. Most of you, I'm going to guess, have not seen just yet. Regarding PDFs, throughout our time here with remote learning. Third thing, we're going to talk a little bit about Google Tools. From what I could tell from the survey, there are a lot of really good experienced users here, which is great. So I'll highlight a few things without talking down to you, because I know that we have people who are pretty well versed here. And then the last portion, I just have an AMA. So if you have questions or if you have other things that might be happening, in your specific role, or things that you may have always wondered about, I'm more than happy to answer those questions. So that'll be like an ask me anything kind of type deal. I can't promise I'll have answers to everything, but I'll take really good notes if not, and help you kind of find those solutions. Okay. So like Diane said, I'm the Stark County Educational Services Center Educational Technology Consultant. It's a big mouthful, but that pretty much drills down to everything that I do. And then along with that, I'm a G Suite for Education certified trainer. So my job is to kind of know everything I possibly can and then help teach teachers just like you and gifted coordinators and everyone else that has anything to do with school districts how to do those things as well. You can find my handle there. So I'm not necessarily super active on Twitter. I try to stay offline as much as possible when I'm not working. But you can also find my email there. So if you do have a question or if you have other things, before, during, or after the things that we have to share here, please feel free to send those emails through that way. And then that's a picture of my family. I always include them because I like looking at them to start the presentation. So I promise, see, she's smiling. She's super happy. It's true, even though she's melting down in the other room, but that's okay. I'm really, really happy to be here. And I know that Diane said that there's kind of like a every other meeting type thing that happens where language arts is kind of the primary focus for one of the gifted meetings, and then math, and then language arts and math. And so I'm really happy to be here to talk with you a little bit more about math when it comes to technology. And I don't sugarcoat it. Math is really, really difficult to pull online. I know that. Every other technology person knows that, but if they tell you otherwise, they're just in denial. So I'm really happy to share some tools with you that I think will help enhance your math classrooms, or might provide different tools for you to use to work with your students. Okay, so the things that I have to share. Some of them are going to be jumping off points because I know a lot of you mentioned that in the survey too, that like just give me some things and then I'll kind of work on my own. Some of you said like I really just want to focus on one or two things and not have too many. So unfortunately it was about half and half, where some said give me everything and some said just give me one or two. So I tried to find a happy medium. I'm really going to focus in on just a few of those items. We'll go a little bit deeper, and then for those of you who want more, I have that available for you too. Okay. So like I said, if you do have questions, pop those into the chat. I have my other screen working here, so feel free to drop those in at any time, and I'll be happy to answer for you. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a newer concept that I've been putting together. I made a presentation in Tuslaw a couple, well, gosh, I guess that was about a month ago, a couple weeks ago here, about PDFs. So to me, this is one of the easiest ways that a math teacher can bring their work online and make it workable for them. So think about all the things that you have like in Worksheet, or like the workbooks that come along with a lot of the textbooks, or things that you can find online, or things that you can send through your copy machine. If you can turn those into a PDF, then I have 3 just home run ways that you can bring those PDFs online to work with your students. Okay, so I'm going to actually jump out here into this other presentation. And if you have made a copy of those slides, then I would encourage you to do the same. This is a fully baked PD session, so if you'd like to make a copy of this one, you're more than welcome to. What I did was I wrote it as if like I'm not in the room with you. So there's videos and tutorials and like help guides and all kinds of stuff sprinkled in throughout this. We are not going to do all of those, obviously, because you're getting me talking about all of them. But this is a really great resource to share with teachers so that they can, kind of work on their own or work at their own pace. So whether this is workable for you or workable for another friend where you said, hey, check this thing out, then by all means, please feel free to make a copy of this and share it along as well. So I'm going to kind of jump down here a little bit. When we talk about PDFs, we're talking about portable document format files, which is a big mouthful, and that's why I'm thankful that we just call them PDFs. So they're really popular. Basically, we make a PDF because we want to protect the contents of our item. So it could be slides, it could be a doc, it could be a whole number of different things. But when we make it into a PDF, we want to preserve the look of that item. And by saving it in a PDF, I can ensure that that thing is going to look exactly like the way I want it to when you receive it. So you can do things very easily. If you go up to File, you can go to Download, and you can make a PDF. So this is pretty consistent for most of the Google tools. So if you're working within Google, which I know all of the school districts within Stark County are Google districts. So like I said, if you are working with something and you want to turn it into a PDF, it's just that simple. You can just go up to File and Download As. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, a part of what I do is I think like all of the kids in your class who maybe I always worded as like color outside the lines. So I think like the kids who are trying to break stuff, and that's me. And so I try to break those things, and then I figure out how to teach you how to put them back together again. And so 2 of those items are here on this screen. So PDFs are meant to be like uncrackable, right? That are supposed to be these like preserved perfect items. But what if I have something that, I got from a friend, or I scanned through my copier, or, it's just a PDF that I found online? Here are 2 awesome resources to essentially break those PDFs and turn them back into an editable Google Doc or Microsoft item. They're very simple to use. I'm going to jump out here to this first one. It's online OCR. So OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. And essentially what you can do is select a PDF file, tell it the language that that file is written in. For our cases, I'm guessing most of the time that's going to be in English. And then you tell it what you want it to become. So in this case, like it would be like a Microsoft Word. Once that's uploaded, you can hit convert, and it turns that PDF that was seemingly uncrackable into a Microsoft Word item, which is really, really cool. There's also this option down here called Small PDF, and it has a really great Chrome extension. You'll notice here that it says free 7-day trial. So there are some pay features. It only lets you do so many within a 24-hour time period. However, if you use an incognito window, you basically multiply all of your chances to make those those PDFs and those cracks. So again, I'm coloring outside the lines. I'm showing you how to kind of circumvent the system a little bit. But by using that incognito window, you basically get more cracks at this website. So you'll see there's all kinds of different things that you can do here with your PDFs. All you have to do is click on the option that you're looking for. So if this is like a PDF that you have that you want to go back into a PowerPoint, then you would choose your file, you'd send it on through, and ta-da, it becomes a workable PowerPoint again. So these items are really, really great and work very well for those things that you may have in your arsenal, but now, obviously within a little bit more of a remote environment, we have to put those things online. So by cracking those PDFs, then you can make them workable, you can make edits, and seemingly bring something that was old into becoming something that is brand new. Okay. The first tool that I'm going to show you in regards to actual lesson creation is called TeacherMade. This was born out of the shutdowns in the spring. And so a couple teachers got together and said, Google Forms is great, but we need more. We have to have something that can do a little bit more, specifically with our PDFs. And we want it to auto grade, and we want other question types. And so what they did was they came up with this concept here. It's TeacherMade. And what I love about it is it was made by teachers for teachers. And in their words, is going to be completely free from now until the end of time. So they see the value in it. They want everyone to enjoy working with this, to find it useful with their students. And so, so they put it in here for it. So what this essentially does is a teacher will upload a PDF, and then they can create assessment opportunities within that PDF. So instead of working with a Google form where you have to create the the answer key as you go, this one works a little bit different in that I'm actually inserting my questions on top of that PDF to create something brand new. So I'll show you an example of it here, but I wanted you to see all of the things that it could do. So you can workable pages within a PDF. So again, think about those math workbooks, think about the things that you already have, and you can bring those online as assessments, whether that be formative or summative. You can bring those online and make them workable with your kids in an instant. The other thing that I love about this, you'll notice here on the side, if this doesn't have a date, it means that it's already a feature available to TeacherMade teachers. If you notice how some of these have different months next to them, this is their goal to make these features possible. So again, I told you these are teachers who are doing this. So, they have their day job. They're trying to work on these things after the fact. So this is kind of like their timeline for when those other question types or other features are going to come online. What I really love about this too, you'll notice that it's making a comparison between TeacherMade and Google Slides. So what are the things that I can do in one that I may not be able to do in the other? So in terms of actual question types, you see things like short answers, fill in the blanks. We can do that within a form. Same thing with open answers, essays, paragraphs. We have multiple choice, all those kinds of things. But we start to get to some things that normal, like Google Forms, Google Slides can't do. So I see things like hotspots. I have matching questions available. You'll see numbers and fractions and mixed numbers and algebraic expressions, which is really, really cool. I'll show you an example of that here in just a little bit. But then there are a whole slew of other question types that are going to be making their way onto this platform very shortly. In terms of scoring and reporting and how these are going to be shared out, this is the most important part right here. So where it says Google Classroom link sharing, you can send all of these things, all of the things that you may make on TeacherMade out to your students using Google Classroom, which is a work process, a workflow that your students are already very familiar with. And so they don't have to do anything different when it comes to completing these assessments. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes here. If you're playing along on your screen, please by all means feel free to log in and create an account. You'll see I'm logged in as my work account here. And it's really pretty basic. So these are the things that I've done before. You'll notice it says a lot of sample this, sample that. These are ones that I've done in previous demos. But to find these again, I can just click on my worksheets and come back here. If I want to create something new, I just go to create worksheet. Okay, so I can enter this, and I'm going to call this one something radically different. I'm going to call this math practice. That way I don't get confused with all those other practices and samples that I've already created. So think of this kind of like the top of that worksheet, right? So here's the title of the worksheet. Here's the description, the thing that I need my kids to know. And then where it says background, this is where I can drag and drop my files. So I can either do this, or I can like bring those files in and actually like drag and drop them from before. So let's see. I'm gonna scroll down here and just randomly, let's see. I'm gonna do, let's try this one. So this is one that I used in actually another lead teacher meeting. This one is music based. So this is like a PDF. So obviously, you know, think about the worksheets that you might be using within your own classroom. This one is not necessarily made for an assessment, but I'll show you how we can work that through. And I just got yelled at because it was over. So I'm going to use this one instead. This is one that is a worksheet, a spreadsheet that I put together for an online class that I'm teaching through the University of Ashland. So I'll show you what this looks like here. So I'm going to create my worksheet, and you'll see that it pops that PDF up into this workable area. If I want to begin adding things, then I need to use these tools up top. So, you know, there's really nothing too out of the ordinary from what we're used to. There's File, View, Edit, Format, Insert, Scoring, and Help. And where most of your damage is going to be done is here in Insert. When you select Insert, you'll see all kinds of question types that you can add onto your PDF surface. So let's say that I wanted to add something that was math related, and I wanted to use algebraic expressions. So I can select there and then basically create like a text box. So in this area, let's say that I wanted to add all of this up. I'm going to click and drag here. And then you'll notice that it has like this little math platform, right? So you can see like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then when I select on top of it with a double click, let me see if I can get it to go here. Come on, it might just be too small. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Oh boy, see, and this is why you love doing live technology, right? Come on. Let me go. All right, we'll come back to that one here in just a second. I think I know what the problem is, but it'll look a little bit different. When I choose like matching here, let's say that this was my answer space, right? I can drag that over top of it and then edit my matching. Now I'm creating my like answer key sort of. So where it says like number of points, I can assess how many points are going to be there. And then I can pair it up. So this is actually like teaching me how to do this matching. And this is one of the things that I love most about TeacherMade is that they make it very simple to do. So it's not like, you know, your teachers or you are going to be just, you know, kind of out there trying to accomplish this all on your own. You know, it's actually walking you through the process, which is really nice. So you'll see, you know, anything I want to, I can add in here. Like I'll even try a hotspot one, you know, we can put that over here. You know, I can edit this hotspot out, same deal. It's giving me all these things. Let's say the students have to do that. And we'll save our changes. If I wanted to, I can even use this area down here with all my little icons, and I can add all of those different things. So like, I'll just add a number over here in this space. And so like, you know, I can actually tell it, you know, the answer is 3 or, you know, this, or depending on how specific you want it to be, you can ask, you know, your students to be, you know, really specific with decimal points and with, you know, positives and negatives and all those other kinds of fun math things. So So I really appreciate that about this is, unlike other tools, you can really bring your math online very easily. The one thing that I find very tricky, so let's say that this is my completed PDF, my completed teacher-made assignment. When you're done, you have to go to close. And to me, that sounds like I'm done with everything and I want to like get out of teacher-made altogether. So don't be tripped up by that. You can either select close or you can hit this X button up here in the top and it'll close it. When you do so, it passes you through to basically like creating the assignment and sharing this out with your kids. Now, before you do so, and just as like a good rule of thumb, you should always preview that worksheet. So here's what this actually looks like for my students. You'll notice that I have my math, open areas here where I can type things in. And now again, I'm looking at this as a student. I have the ability to write in fractions and square roots and exponents and insert all of these other math items as my answer. So, I could say like 5 is greater than 3 or, whatever, if that's, the answer that I'm looking for here. So why I really like this too is that kids can show their work. So you can say something like, here's this giant math space. I want to see all 3 steps to solve this problem, however that might be. So as a student, it's really, really helpful that all of these things are on here and available. Now, depending on how you set this up on the back end, you can, choose to see different things. So all I said was, okay, I have this PDF, I have this teacher-made assignment. I'm ready to assign this out to my students as a worksheet. So how are my students going to sign in? Are they going to sign in using their Google account? Are they going to use like a specific name or ID? And that's something that the teacher would have to pre-build in that area. And then how are my students going to see their scores? So is this something that's going to happen, immediately? Like maybe this is a formative assessment and I want them to be able to take this 1,000 times and, until they get the, the knowledge that they're after? Or is this something that, I only want them to do one time? So you get to customize all of these different things. And then when you hit create assignment, it allows you to share this out in a number of ways. So it can either be, like I said, through that Google Classroom integration. It can also be, just shared as a link on a website or, any other number of ways that you may have shared these things with your students. So really, really cool. I'm looking at the chat here and I see a question that says, do students need to have accounts to use the tools? And then I'm guessing where it says perfect timing means because we just answered that. So if Lisa, if that didn't answer your question, then please by all means feel free to add that back into the chat. But that's another reason why this is so great is because students are doing the same process that they've always done. We're not asking them to do anything different, but that's okay. But we're doing all of these wonderful things for our students that, has seemingly been extremely difficult to do in the past. So now you can bring your math online, no matter what it may be. You're making those worksheets, those other things, out of your workbook, just totally workable, and you're like breathing new life into your resources, which is really cool. So that's teacher-made. Obviously, that was like a really, really quick crash course on how to do teacher-made. So by all means, if you have more questions, I would encourage you to either reach out to me or make your way through their website. They have a bunch of really helpful tutorials to make that happen. As you're looking down the list here of things that teacher-made can do, I tried to pull out as many of those as possible. And then here on slide 10, I gave you a couple of videos to get started. So here's a getting started video for you. Here's what the students are going to see. And then this is how you can drop some comments during your assessments as well. They have an amazing YouTube channel as well. So if you're looking for other videos on how to do teacher-made, definitely check out their channel on YouTube and you'll get all kinds of other resources. All right. Next up is Cami or Cami. They call it Cami. I think that's like really difficult to say, so I would usually call it Cami because I'm lazy like that. So Cami allows you to basically take a PDF and then you can lay content over top of that PDF to create something new. So unlike how TeacherMade allowed you to do like a whole new assessments, what Cami does is allows you to just basically take like modification features and put those as an extra layer over top of your PDFs. So you can do things like select text, you can highlight, you can strike through. If you're willing to pay for it, which I'm not, but if you're willing to pay for it, you can see some of those other premium features. I use this a lot for like signing documents, or if there are like ongoing processes. You know, if I need to make something for the month of October and November and December, but I need to make them a little bit different, then I'll make up 3 different copies within Cami and then modify those PDFs in that regard. For your students' use, it's pretty similar. So you can take those PDFs, you can share them with students via Google Classroom, and then they can then modify your PDFs with all of the Cami tools. The really nice thing about this is that they have great Google integration. So you'll see it in all kinds of instances pop up. Think about like when you've opened things in Google and it says like open with. So when you choose open with and you have Cami, then Cami becomes an option. In Google Classroom, you can even just call it like a Cami assignment. Because Google sees Cami as like a premier partner or whatever, so they even give them their own space there within Classroom, which is really nice. So again, it makes it really, really helpful for students. And then I can see some people here in the chat too, where like Janelle says that she's used it successfully before with language arts, which is good, but not necessarily math. So again, math is pretty difficult to bring online, but you know, there are definitely instances that we can do it. So obviously Cami is going to have a little bit of a learning curve, just like everything else. And just like TeacherMade, I wanted to include these videos for you as well. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of what this looks like. This is a PDF that I have. And I'm going to go to open with and annotate with Cami. So again, this is just a PDF that I have in my drive, just like every other PDF. And in 2 clicks, I have this open and I have it ready to go within Cami. So as soon as this loads, there we go. I see all of my features over here on the side. And then you'll notice that I've used this one as an example quite a bit. Where I have all kinds of other scribbles and highlights and other things on there too. So this is just kind of showing you some of the things that you could choose to do. And all you have to do is pick those over here in this side toolbar. So if you choose that markup, then you can come over here, like maybe I want to highlight this. So now I'm going to highlight that area. Might help if I pick the color for which to highlight that, huh? So now that's going to be highlighted there in blue. I can add text boxes where it says drawing. This is how you see like my signature in this area too. So now that you have all seen it, please don't steal my identity or my credit cards and sign those signatures too. I'd appreciate that. But it makes it really easy to mark up. So again, you can kind of treat this space, you know, as a blank canvas if you wanted to, and have all kinds of learning available for your students as they're working with your math. And then lastly, I know a lot of people use Pear Deck, so I'm not going to hit this one too hard, but I did want to show you kind of the workflow to how to make your workbooks or make your PDFs active within Google Slides. So first, you're going to want to save your item, whatever it may be, as a PDF. So you have that as a PDF. Let's say that you've had it from before. You have to make that a JPEG or a PNG. So a JPEG is kind of like a flat image. PNGs are transparent. So you have to modify your PDF using one of those tools that I showed you in the beginning to make it a JPEG or a PNG. And then next, the easiest way is to go to File and then choose Page Setup. to change the look of your slide. So if you didn't know it, you don't have to stick to this rectangle life. You can go up to File, and you can go down to Page Setup, and you can choose the size of your screen. So instead of being widescreen or standard, you can go to Custom, and you can actually make this 8.5 by 11, which is, as we all know, kind of that standard size for our copy machines and whatnot. So once you've done that, then you can go and right-click and change your background, and then you can put that image as the background for your slide. And why that's important is you'll notice like this is just a regular image on here. And so every time I click it, now I'm going to move like this little guy in all his folders and his papers, and it's going to be a disaster. And so this is going to be the same thing for your students. If you just, copy paste a picture onto this slide, they may be trying to drag and drop things, but now they're going to like click on a bunch of things that they're not supposed to. Whereas if you have made that picture your background, then there's no worry about having them making an impact on that slide. So one of the tools, or one of the tips that I have here for you too, is consider editing your master slide template. So if you go up to Slides and go down to Master, then you can really make some changes here on the file types and layouts that you have available to you. Think about like when you're making a new one and you try to choose layout, that's essentially what you're editing there within those masters. So one of the best ways that I've seen that used is to edit a master and put like a coordinate plane as the background, like the permanent background for one of those layouts. So as you want to show students your rise over run, then you can have that coordinate plane ready and available for them to plot their points. Please feel free to be amazed by my extensive knowledge of math. I just dropped rise over run, and I said exponents earlier, so that's about the extent of it. So that's as good as it gets. I'm really sorry. I'm sure you all hate it when people say I'm not a math person, but I try my best. So that's how you can modify those. And then using Pear Deck, you can do all kinds of really special activities on here, especially using math. So if you're not familiar with Pear Deck, again, I gave you 3 really great tutorials. And again, I'm linking you through here to that YouTube channel, which they have really, really great videos for. They really focus a lot on like their social media engagement too. So they do a really, really nice job of making videos that are helpful to teachers and to students. So definitely make sure that you check those out. But overall, as we're thinking about, the different PDF things that we've talked about thus far, there's 3 really great ways that you can bring, these tools and breathe life into your classroom in ways that you may not have before. TeacherMade, Cami, and Pear Deck. And here in slide 25, I kind of give you a comparison of sorts to see, which product can do what. And I don't know that you can really go wrong with either of them. I think they're all pretty wonderful. So those are 3 just really great ways that you can have an impact on your classroom tomorrow. If you wanted to, you could use any one of those and have fun with them. Okay. So as we look through to our next topic here, we're going to be talking a little bit about Google tools with math. So yes, there are some things on here that are a little under the radar, and some things that I wanted to highlight for you as well. The first of which is Google Drawing. So Google Drawing lives within your Google Drive. Think of it like a singular slide of a Google Slides presentation. Why I like this is because I think it really creates that like online learning platform where before we had the thing in front of us, whether that was a workbook or a worksheet or whatever it may be, your textbook, and it really brings that online, I think, in the easiest way. So you can find, build, share templates to all of these different things. And then one thing that I wanted to highlight here as well, I popped out for a reason, is you can use all of this gray space over here on your slides and in drawing. So just because it's not here within what I usually call like the workspace doesn't mean that you can't include it. So in case you didn't know, I'm going to prove that concept to you now and show you over here with my awesome fast typing that when you are working with slides, whether you're working with drawing, whatever that may be, and a person, think about your students. If you share this in classroom, you made a copy for everybody, they all have this. When they make that copy, they get everything on the outside as well, not just what's in here. So think about all the opportunities that you could do for like drag and drop. I'm thinking of, that example that I told you about before with, like coordinate planes. So you could have like dots or flags or all kinds of other things over here that a student would just drag and drop into place. I'm also thinking about like math symbols. So you can, put all of those over here, whether you type them, whether you have images for them or those kinds of things, and then ask students to like click and drag those into the area to show their work. So thinking outside the box a little bit allows your students, allows you to include things within your work here that you may not be able to fit into this workspace. So it's basically like doubling, tripling, the amount of things that you could have assigned to a specific slide. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about modifying the workspace. I showed you that trick there just a moment ago. You can go to File, you can go to Page Setup, and then you can change the dimensions of those. For those of you who ask for the things so that you could go and search and do on your own, I know you said like you wanted to read books and catch up on your TV shows and spend time with family and stuff over the break. I'm going to add one more thing to that, and that is to check out my mega cache. So that link there in the bottom of the slide takes you to my basically hoarding area of Google Drawing templates. So basically what I do is I go online and I find people who are using Google Drawing and who are doing it really well. And I steal all their things. And then I put them in this folder and I give them credit for it. But now it's all in one nice place just for you. So here's an example. It says sorting quadrilaterals. And when I double click it, it's going to pull it up within Google Drawing. And now this is a ready to go pre-baked Google Drawing that allows you to, make whatever modifications you want to, save it and share it out with your students via Classroom or via whatever, but now it's ready to go. So again, I can use all of this space over here and over here to add even more things to it. But this is something that is ready to go for you. And so one of the things that I really wanted to do is have a little something for everybody. So you'll notice that there are some timelines and there's some maps and there's, some language arts things and some science things. So I have a whole bunch of items within here. So not necessarily all of them are going to be math related. However, they definitely demonstrate the concept of how amazing Google Drawing can be. If you wanted to create a new Google Drawing, you would just go to New, scroll down to More, and then over to Google Drawing. And again, like I said, it is going to create, this Google Drawing for you, which is like a singular slide within Google Slides. So basically anything that it can do, you can do here. One of the reasons why I really like coming to drawing is that you can create unique pictures for yourself as well in an instant. So if you wanted to, make something custom for your classroom, like let's say you wanted custom headers for your website or for Google Classroom, or you were making another resource, you can use Google Drawing to make that. So I showed you there a moment ago how you can go up to shapes and make shapes. You can insert, pretty much everything that you would be able to within your Google Slides, and it's all here ready and waiting for you. So again, kind of just unlocking something that you may not have known existed that you can definitely access and have fun with there using this shortened link. So that's bit.ly/drawmaze. So other things that you may or may not be aware of, if you're not using Flippity, I would definitely encourage you to check that one out. Basically, it allows you to take spreadsheets and make them workable for you. One of the things I usually tell people is like they see spreadsheets as like a dirty word because you're not a hyper nerd and you don't know how to do all the forms and functions and all that. And I say nerd lovingly because I am one, mind you. But it allows you to do all of these just amazing things with great ease that you may not have been able to do before. So I'm going to click on Flippity just so that I can show you all the things that it can do. In a flash, you can have quiz show and flashcards and random name pickers and scavenger hunts. So if you've ever wanted to do like an escape room type concept, then you can use the scavenger hunt to make that happen. I see timelines and matching games and manipulatives and all kinds of other things. There's 25 different activities that you can use spreadsheets to enhance your classroom learning. So let's say that I wanted to do a matching game. If I wanted to, I can click on demo and it's going to show me exactly what this looks like. So, green and gray, those are obviously not a match. I lost. Orange, purple. So if you decide that this is something that you want for your classroom, then you can come here to instructions and read it for yourself, or you can click template and it's going to allow you to make a copy of the document of the spreadsheet that will help you create your own perfect matching game just like that. So obviously, there's 25 different things. We're not going to go through all of them, but I really appreciate that they've gone through here within our remote learning to really consider like those e-learning recommendations too. So this is definitely a product that listens to its users and is looking for opportunities to help enhance your classroom. Okay, so like I said, if you're not using Flippity, definitely worth your time, especially as students are learning different concepts for your classroom. One of the other tools that I have for you here is K20 Learn. This is something that I show in almost every single presentation that I use, just because it's so simple and so worthwhile. So what K20 Learn is a website of resources that's developed by the University of Oklahoma. And basically what they've done is they've said, hey, here's a bunch of research-based strategies, some ideas, some lessons, and here they are for you. And we're going to teach you how to do them as well. So if you go to K20 Learn, this is like their home base, which I think is kind of tricky, or it makes it look like it's something that it's not. But if you go to strategies, then this is going to take you to basically like a trading card website where you can see all of these amazing lesson ideas and approaches that are ready and available for you. So one of the things that I appreciate about this is that it tells you exactly what grade levels these would be good for. And you can even filter this down based on how many students you might be working with. So let's say that I have a lesson coming up tomorrow, and I do mean tomorrow. So like, this is how easy this is to use. I have a lesson coming up tomorrow. I have like 10 or 15 minutes that I'm not like super pumped about, that I really wish I could inject something new into. I can go to like time to complete, choose, that 10 to 20 minutes. I can say, I'd really like for this to be something that's small group. So maybe, this is going to be a Google Meet call, and I'm going to put students into different breakout rooms, just at random so that they can work on different things. My grade level, I think most of you are like middle school-ish. So I'm going to shoot for the middle there and go for 6th grade. And then where it says placement within lesson, let's say that this is an additional learning activity and the intention or purpose is some active engagement. And as I picked all kinds of stuff that doesn't have a result. So way to go me. Let's see if I can bring that out a little bit further. And I'll not select these and see what we can find. Let me unselect a few of these here. Okay, and then I'll just show you a couple larger ones. So you'll notice each of these kind of gives a little description. So I'm thinking this one might be pretty helpful for math as we're trying to prove some different things. I go to always, sometimes, or never, and now I see my little trading card for this. So when I click it, it flips itself over. It gives me the summary. and then it walks me through the procedure. So first, this is what you'll do, then this, and then this. As you look over here on the side, it tells me where this might be best within my lesson. It also tells me the perfect reasoning for my intention or my purposes. And then it links me to some other things that I may want to use in concert with this as well. So like I said, this is just a really great place to look and to see. This specific one takes me 10 minutes to pull off. And it takes very little effort for you to be able to inject all kinds of new fun into your classrooms. So again, that's something that you could spend hours and hours and hours on. But if you just want something quick and in a hurry that is going to have a lot of bang for your buck within your classroom, then definitely check out the things that are available here on K20 Learn. One more thing for you here within that kind of Google or Google adjacent bubble is Equatio. I'm sure you're all pretty familiar with it, but if you're not, I just wanted to include that here. If you are looking for ways to embed math within your Google Forms, then you have to use Equatio. Basically, what this allows you to do is pull up a math keyboard, and your students will do this also. They'll be able to pull up that math keyboard to then use actual authentic numbers and symbols instead of like having to copy and paste from elsewhere to put those into their answers. So Equatio is definitely the way to do it. I'm guessing that most of you are probably pretty familiar with it as well. And so by all means, I'm not going to waste your time in talking about that. If you heard some things that you like and you're looking for more things, as if I haven't bombarded you enough, I have a link here on this slide that's going to take you to my website here through the Stark County Educational Services Center. If you go to Classroom Resources and Teachers, there are all kinds of things that you can use to get lost in, different tools and tips that are going to help you replicate different processes within your classroom. You're also going to see all of the presentations that I have available for people, for school districts and whatnot. And if you go to like student resources, then this is a great place to direct students to find things that will help them practice, some of those math things. One of the reasons why I wanted to build this was a lot of my students were like, oh, great, I'm just going to go to Cool Math. And so they would go to coolmath.com or whatever the heck it is now and think that they were doing like good things, or like they could trick me by saying like, oh yeah, I'm on Cool Math. It's this game on Cool Math, when there's absolutely nothing math related, to most of these games whatsoever. And in my opinion, they're not particularly cool either. So it's false advertising. And so I wanted places where my students could go and I actually felt good about them going. So that website is just absolutely inundated with resources and jumping off points for you to find other things. You may have noticed that there's a toddler that jumped on my lap too, and so she advanced before we were ready to. But before we move on to this next area, Diane, I did want to invite you back in. I am done with like the formal presentation, and I know that we're coming close to the end of the hour that we promised you. So after Diane speaks, if you don't want to stick on, by all means, you're more than welcome to to enjoy the rest of your evening. But if you do have questions and you do have other things that that you would like to ask, I'm going to stay on here and I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can for you. Okay, Diane, do you have any kind of wrapping up things before we hit the AMA?
I do, but before I do that, there is a question there from Paula. Do students have to have Equatio extension to, oh, you already answered it. Never mind. The answer is yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so the way that it works is the teacher is going to be able to put that on for themselves, and then any student that wants to use it is going to have to add that extension as well. So that might be a conversation that you'll want to have with your tech department to say like, hey, we need this extension whitelisted so that my students can have access to it. So that's the easiest way to make your way through that. So hopefully that helps you there, Paula. And hi, Paula. I didn't even realize that it was you. Hi, Paula. Good to see you.
just a couple things, and then again, you can either stay on, or you can enjoy the rest of your evening, which it's already dark out, so I apologize for that. But the next meeting is in January. It's actually 1/21/21. I like those kind of funky dates. That's cool. And it will be a reading focus. We welcome you all back, but if you teach just math, of course, you might learn something new. I do not know what the presentation is at this point, but I will let you know that and give you the link as I did with this one. Again, I put it back in there. If you did not sign in at some point, you know, I think that now makes probably 22 times I've said that. Make sure you sign in and go to that, through that bit.ly address to the Google form, so you get credit for tonight's meeting. I thank Matt again, and again, I'm going to thank him because some of you are leaving. I'm not sure what's the official way you thank people when you're all muted. Is it clapping? I don't know, but let's thank Matt and Evie. Hi, Evie. Is she her name? Hi, sweetie.
Yeah. So this is Evelyn. I think they're making, honey, are you making cupcakes? Okay, that's just icing all over her mouth. So
okay.
She's not rabid, despite all the crying and screaming that you may have heard. She's not rabid, I promise. It's just icing.
Every time I talk to Matt, I learn something new. He's also the person in our office. We don't have doors on our cubicles, and you hear this often, "Hey, Matt." And so we get answers very quickly. That is, we did record it. It's still recording now. And Matt, if that's okay, I'll stay on too. So maybe your questions might apply. But you will be sent the recording. If you were on tonight, you will be sent the recording, and you'll be sent the list of comments that were over here as well. So I know I learned a lot, but I know I didn't take notes, so I would probably go back and look at that. But Matt's an email away too. I'm sure he'd be willing to answer that. So
Absolutely.
again, thank Matt. I want to wish you all happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and maybe I'll see some of you in January, probably a virtual. All of our meetings will be virtual this year, so I'll see you virtually, but wish you all the best. Stay healthy and be safe. So good night, unless you're staying on, and if you're staying on, we'll see you here in a minute.
All right. Thank you for having me, everybody. Appreciate it. All right. So as some of our friends are making their way out, if you do have a question, feel free to just kind of unmute and you can ask it, and I'll do my best to kind of either demonstrate or talk you through. I can't promise that I'm going to have the answer to everything, but at least I can help guide you in the right direction. Okay. So like I said, if anyone does have a question, feel free to unmute. You can even just put your name or put like I have a question or raise your hand or something like that, you know, in that bottom area. And Diane can call on you or I can call on you, and I'll be able to help you out as best I can.
Does anybody want more specifics, or are you thinking you just want more to pick Matt's brain, or just want him to keep talking? Anybody? Or do you want to share something you've used that maybe, or how you could use this in your classroom or something like that? I probably should have said this in the big meeting, and I meant to, but with gifted, which this is gifted oriented meeting, all the things Matt was showing with PDFs especially, if you start with something from scratch, then you can easily make it more rigorous or change the focus of it, or just, you know, you're not starting from scratch. You've got something there to build on. And I really think that's the big key there. I probably should have said that in the meeting, huh? But anyway, so that's what I think is the biggest plus with all of this.
All right, Diane, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my computer just told me that I lost my connection, and it was very bad there for a second. So, okay, as long as I'm back,
You're back.
I can see Lisa has a really good question. Lisa Anthony asked, do Google Slides and drawings talk to each other? So these are two different items within your Google Drive. So I'm going to take over here just for a second, one more time, Diane, if that's okay.
That's fine. Good. I don't have any more, so you're good.
Okay, so within your Google Drive, and I'll show you mine here. You'll notice, here's all of my garbage and my files and stuff. But when you go to new, these are two different items. So where it says Google Slides, this is how I can queue up that new Google Slides presentation. I have to go down to more and then over to find drawings. So think of them more so like I use Google Docs for this thing and I use Google Sheets for that. That's kind of like the relationship between drawings and slides. Now, that's not to say that you can't like copy something from one and paste it into another, because you can definitely do that. But Google Drawing is more of like one single page, whereas Google Slides, you can basically have an infinite number of slides to work with. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Lisa. And then Janet, I can see which is better, Nearpod or Pear Deck. I'm going to be super diplomatic about this and say whichever one works best for you and your students. So each of those products, most of the products that we, that I work with, they all have, really great things about them. And then they all have, things that I'm like, man, I wish that could be better. I'll say I have tended to use Pear Deck a little bit more, just because I'm in slides and that, works for me. I like some of the things that they have to offer. So that's not to say that Nearpod is not good, because I do think that there are a lot of good features within it. But I think just Pear Deck has worked best for me and for my kids. So whichever one works best for you and yours is the one that I like best, or the one that works better. Both awesome questions. Diane, is that the first time that you've seen K20 Learn?
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, like I know you had mentioned before about, I've presented at, the High Impact Conference and, all over the place when I was in. I presented at ISTE, not this past summer, obviously, because we were all quarantined, but, the one prior to that. And so I'm in Philadelphia, and I, talked about it with all of those people who were coming in from all over the world. And it was like minds were, blowing just based off of me saying, check out this website. It's really, really fun and really accessible. I gravitate toward, those like the trading card type aspect of it, just because I think it's fun and you can kind of like collect up the ones that you like and that you're going to use. So yeah, definitely. If you've never seen K20, that's something that I did not mince words there. You can literally find something tonight that you can put into your classroom tomorrow. That's how simple and easy they make it.
I really like that one. The Flippity one looks like something more just for fun, but I was thinking while you were doing the matching game, even with math, you could have, fractions and different things. You could match those kind of things. I could see using that one an awful lot. I'll share out, probably just the recording makes the most sense, because then they can get to your slides, correct? If I do that tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because even though this was for math, so much in there was ELA as well. I mean, not real, you know what I mean? You're going to use it in anything, whether it's social studies, math, whatever. So I will share this out with my listserv tomorrow.
Right. And that's one of the reasons, hopefully you made a copy of that presentation as well. Because like I said, I am not precious about my things. I'm really happy when people take it and make notes and share it with other people within their district, whoever that may be. So by all means, please take that and share it around as much as you'd like.